Thomas Tress, the CFO of Borussia Dortmund. The second quarter trading statement indicated higher EBITDA than the prior year, despite fans not being allowed into the stadium. So would you talk about how the key revenue streams developed during the period, please?
Thanks for your question. Well, indeed, EBITDA increased about 6.9 million and the profit after tax about 5.9 million. Nevertheless, the revenues dropped about 3.4 million to 120.8 million. We had, in respect of our key revenues, the following issues due to COVID-19 and the lockdown in Germany. We had a lot of matches behind closed doors and match operations dropped substantially, about 13.7 million to only 300,000. Advertising, in the contrary, was increasing on about 3.5 million to 29.9 million. The reason there is quite simple. We signed in February a new main sponsoring contract with 1&1 and also with the Evonik on the one side. On the other side, we signed a new kit sponsor agreement with Puma. This pushed our revenues in advertising, but on the other side, with hospitality, capacity could not be used due to COVID-19. So in total, there was an increase, but due to COVID-19, it avoided an increase because we expected for the year 2020-21 a substantial increase in advertising in total to reach a level of about 125 million. And we nowadays expect just 105 to 110 million. Broadcasting increased in the second quarter about 13.7 million. The fact there is that the distribution model from the league changed due to COVID-19. In former years, we received every quarter 25% of the total national and international broadcasting money from the league, and in 2021 they changed it to a match-by-match distribution. For that reasons, we had a lot more in the second quarter than in the first quarter. You may remember that the league started in September, so very late. So we had in the first quarter very low broadcasting revenues. In the second quarter, we had a lot of games behind those closed doors. In respect of the revenues of merchandising, we have a slight increase of about 100,000 in the last quarter. On the other hand, conference catering, due to the matches behind closed doors, dropped about 8 million.
Second question is, how do you think Borussia Dortmund and the wider Bundesliga is performing relative to other clubs and leagues from a financial perspective?
Well, due to the fact that Borussia Dortmund reached a level of financial liabilities pre-COVID of nil, for us it was very easy to catch up that situation and agree credit line facilities with banks. Other clubs in Germany are not in that good position, but nevertheless, due to the Bundesliga licensing process and the 50+1 rule in Germany, the league is comparable to others very healthy. We see in France big problems. They have big problems with their broadcaster. They broke up the league in COVID time. I guess it was in March. In Spain, we see problems even for financial problems for bigger clubs. As you may realize, in Italy, it's a full disaster. The league sold broadcasting rights of the future to refinance their financial problems and the problems of the clubs. In Britain, they are more or less stable, but nevertheless, they have a big load of financial liabilities on the balance sheets. So relatively to others, we are in a very good position in Germany.
Would you provide a roadmap of how you think the company will recover post-COVID and a feel for how the company's revenue streams will develop over, say, the next 12, 18 months?
Well, I guess will come with strengths out of the pandemic. This is because we signed good advertising contracts pre-COVID-19, and this will give us an increase in advertising in respect of main sponsorship and get sponsored on about 20 million per year in comparison to 1920. We did a lot of work to compensate the value of advertising for our sponsors in respect of digitalization. This will give us new opportunities in the future to have a further increase in advertising. In respect of match operations, we guess that we will have a full recovery to a level of 44 to 45 million, depending on the quantity of matches we are playing. We believe this because we have a lot of people with their season ticket holders, and we have a long waiting list for season ticket holders, and the interest in Bundesliga is still there. The people are following the Bundesliga. In broadcasting, there are more people in front of the TVs than before, so there is no problem. Conference catering will come back to a level of 15-16 million. We will restart what we did in former years in respect of traveling. We will travel with our first team to all over the world, to Asia or to the US, and therefore there will be no problem. In respect of broadcasting, we expect a decrease in the next season on about 12 to 13 million because the league signs a new 4 years contracts for the national broadcasting rights, and there was an average decrease on about 5% over the 4 years. In respect of international broadcasting of the Bundesliga, we expect a long time to recovery. Originally, the league planned to increase the former value on about 250 million to a level of 400 million. Due to COVID-19, this dropped to 180 million, and it will take time to recover this.
My fourth question is, beyond the lack of clarity on when fans may be allowed to return to the stadium, are any other contracts or agreements with right holders or sponsors due to be renewed before the end of the 2021-22 season?
Well, you have to know that our Champions League contracts, sponsoring contracts, are lasting between 2 and 8 years. And until the end of the season 2021, there are only 2 Champions League, Champions partner contracts, which the necessity of renewal. The others are mid to long term until 8 years, so there is no problem on that side.
During the second quarter, personnel expenses fell by about 4% and other operating expenses fell by about 29%, which was greater than the 3% decline in revenue. So could you talk about where the cost savings were made and how quickly they are likely to return on any potential recovery in revenue?
Well, in respect of the personnel costs, we paid lower bonuses to the team in international competitions. Firstly, because we expect our team with the sportive potential they have, that there is no need to pay big bonuses on international competitions. And the other is that we had a commitment of the team to cut their salaries in part until end of March, and this also affected the second quarter. In respect of cost savings of other operating expenses, it was 9.7 million what we saved there. We had lower cost of match operations because no audience in the stadium. There was a saving of about 4 million. Admin costs dropped about 2.7 million, especially because we traveled nowhere and we had less representations costs. And the long-term effect is what we are paying For advertising, it's about 2.6 million in the second quarter. The bigger effect from our new contract with Sport 5 was the first quarter, that we saved 9.6 million. And on the year basis, we will save about 50 million every year with the new contract we signed a couple of years ago, starting with the season 2021.
Next question is, given the challenging background, could you please give some insight into how cash inflows and outflows have been affected, albeit maybe temporarily?
Well, due to the fact that we had a lot of matches behind closed doors, that we lost in several revenues money, we are financing nowadays losses. And the effect out of this is that we used our credit lines end of the year 2020, means end of December, on about 28 million. Nevertheless, the total facilities amounting to 120 million and are committed until end of the next season. So actually, we have no problem, but we are still burning money due to losses we have for this year.
Just looking at the long term, do you have any concerns about whether COVID has affected the long-term earnings potential of the business?
Well, in respect of our revenues, it's only broadcasting. Well, there will be a long-term effect because the league signed in June a new broadcasting contract for the national rights for 4 years, and due to COVID-19, they realized 5% in average less than the contract before. In respect of international broadcasting of the league, we will have the need of more time to recover the pre-COVID level of 250 million and more time to reach the level of 400 million, what they tried to achieve much earlier. Positively, we have an effect in respect of digitalization. Our sales department was very creative and had a lot of work to compensate sponsor needs because we had no matches with audience. But this gives us a chance in the future to have more digital content. So we'll have a push there in advertising. In the other revenue streams, I see no long-term effect.
Thanks very much. The next question is, historically, you've preferred not to be financially geared, but the company currently has some debt due to COVID. Without speculating on transfers, how much pressure do you feel to reduce financial debt quickly versus, say, perhaps just a more gradual rebuilding of the balance sheet on any revenue recovery?
Well, I think a football business should not be leveraged because there's so many uncertainties in the respect of the sportive success. But nevertheless, we are not crazy. We have a situation where we have to finance losses for a certain time due to COVID-19. And it will take also a couple of years maybe to pay that in full back. But we will not have the pressure to pay it quickly back because it's not necessary. We are very stable, very healthy. But on the other side, we don't want to harm our operating business due to paying back financial liabilities. But you can be sure that our strategy to get back to nil in respect of financial liabilities is unchanged.
Transfer activity has been affected by COVID. So how do you think transfer activity in the wider market will develop over the next couple of years at the different ends of the spectrum?
Well, if I see the press and I realize that many clubs in Germany in the Bundesliga think that it can compensate their financial needs in selling players, they're not the market there for average players. I guess that this summer we'll have a weak transfer market in respect of average Bundesliga players, and the prices will maintain low. And they need 1-2 years more to recover on a pre-COVID level. In respect of top players, where the market is, especially in Britain or in France, when we talk about Paris Saint-Germain or top clubs like Real Madrid, we will come back in summer to the pre-COVID level, maybe with a small discount, but it is not so difficult than the transfer market of average players.
Thank you very much for your time today, Mr. Tress.
Welcome. Have a good day.